This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Americans all over the nation are waking up to the conceit and lawlessness of Donald Trump. Even those who only a short time ago were opposed to impeaching him are starting to come around to the efficacy of removing this clear and present danger from the White House. In fact, according to a new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, the numbers of Americans who are now in support of starting impeachment proceedings is up 10 percentage points since only last month. And among Democrats, that surge in support has gone from 30% last month to 48% now. And still, Nancy Pelosi and her leadership team refuse to act. They're frozen in fear while calling it strategy that they do nothing, while Donald Trump sits at an anemic 44% approval rating, which is almost his ceiling of support. Over this past year, Donald Trump has proven to be not only unpopular, but untrustworthy, unhinged, and un-American. And Democratic leaders do nothing but talk. He dispatches his attorney general and treasury secretary and other administration officials to violate the law, to ignore legal subpoenas, and Democratic leaders do nothing but talk. He sits behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office of the White House and broadcasts to the world his willingness to accept campaign assistance from our enemies, and Democratic leaders do nothing but talk. Even Fox News polls are signaling a rapid shift in public opinion. They found that a full 50% of Americans believe that the Trump campaign coordinated with Russia, which is a 6-point increase since only March. And as more people read or merely learn the sordid and criminal details contained within the Mueller report, they will most assuredly add themselves to this growing percentage of Americans. But rather than lead the American people, like leaders do, Democrats are waiting to follow public opinion polls, waiting to follow the very people they purport to lead. Luckily, there is a growing chorus of elected individuals who aren't encumbered by fear/strategy. Congresswomen and congressmen who understand that by not standing on a firm foundation of principle, we are sending a message to not only this lawless president, but everyone subsequent to him, that criminality will be tolerated and obstruction of justice will go consequence-free.
I do believe we need to move forward with the impeachment process. And let me tell you why. No president, not Donald Trump or anyone else, is a king. They are a president.
We have to get information. And when Don McGahn doesn't show up, when Bill Barr doesn't show up, when we can't get any of these documents, then that is, in fact, a constitutional crisis. And I believe we have to use the full force of the Constitution to try to resolve that crisis.
Many of us on the Judiciary Committee have been exposed to this overwhelming evidence of high crimes and misdemeanors.
The opening of an inquiry by the Judiciary Committee, the formal beginning of this process is important, not only because of what's in the Mueller report, but because of the behavior of the president engaging in an ongoing cover-up to prevent Congress from doing its work.
I think opening an impeachment inquiry will help us get that information. And to your point, I think it will help educate the American public.
I think the only thing that we can do is to start that impeachment inquiry.
I feel very strongly back sometime that, in fact, we met that threshold.
We must open an impeachment inquiry.
We have come to the time of impeachment.
Even as early as a week or two ago, I wasn't there, but at this point, enough already.
But I am calling for having this debate, for opening this inquiry, so that we can get the facts before the American people.
I don't know whether there would be more damage to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party politically if you go through impeachment. But whatever that damage is, it's not as bad as the long-term damage to the country if we do nothing and we let Donald Trump get away with obstructing justice and just sit still and do nothing.
Look, it shouldn't take freshman members of the House of Representatives to lead the way on an issue as easily navigated as impeachment for a traitor like Donald Trump. Even if the Senate doesn't ultimately vote to remove him, at least the Democrats didn't set the precedent that trampling on the United States Constitution will be accepted as the new norm. Republicans, they sold their souls to this devil a long time ago. Why should the Democrats allow themselves and the nation to be tainted by him as well?